G'day everyone, welcome back to the shed. So I've just come back from 3 days in the Victorian high country of really hardcore riding, far beyond my skill level. We found ourselves in a few really tricky places. We're stuck on one hill for almost 3 hours. We were just in a valley between two hills we couldn't get up, and we had to go back the way we came. And anyway, we spent 3 hours on one hill, which meant the bike got laid over a lot. So in this video, I'm going to go through basically what 3 days of torture does to this bike. If you want to see all the mods and stuff I've done in the past, I've got plenty of videos, you can go check them out. But I just thought it'd be interesting to see, you know, I spent a lot of time prepping this bike and trying to get it ready for the eventual, you know, hardships it would endure. So let's just see how it's all sort of gone through. So let's start off at the top up here. One thing that's busted that we'll need to fix is just this carpet ride system here, just the bracket. The unit itself is rock solid as far as the way it operates, and the maps worked really well. But the weakness is in their mounting system. I'm not sure if you can see that just down there. Just where the top of that mounting block is, there's just not enough meat on top of that post going in, and it's spun a bit and it's bulged the top of it. If they could just sort out their mounting, that would be great. I want to work out some sort of ram style ball mount to work with this guy here that I can fix up there to try and hold it more secure in the future. I think that would be a good way, similar to the way these mirrors work, you know. They're just on ball mounts, and that way if they move, you can just adjust them back, no big deal. So that's one thing that's going to need a fix. Man, these crash bars from CFMOTO, I don't know if it even does it justice, but these things have been absolutely beaten to a pulp, to the point where the plugs have fallen out on both sides. I'm almost embarrassed to admit how many times this bike went down, but it went down a lot. And we're basically in a real predicament. We were stuck and we had to get ourselves out, and if we couldn't do it, it would have been an expensive process to get the bikes out. So we were really going hell for leather to get these bikes out of there, which means coming down on the side here, the bash plate has done a great job. I mean, it has taken an absolute pounding. The bash plate has not faltered at all. However, it does only come up so far, and you can see there's scratches on the side cases. So yeah, the engine's copped a bit of a beating as well. Honestly, I've said this to my mate who's got the same bike. I say it to him all the time. These bikes, for what they cost, they have no business being this good. I've put this thing through hell. Like, I feel guilty, like, saying it, how much abuse I've put this bike through. And it hasn't always been intentional. There's moments where you can be a bit careless, but 3 days in the high country, in just horrific terrain at times, this bike has been abused. The lights have held up really well. I didn't really need them for lighting, but as far as the mounting and everything, they've taken quite a few hits and they're looking strong. I think I've got a slight twist in my forks. I'll have to straighten up my front wheel a little bit. All this stuff down here did a great job. Some of those rocks that came up, I mean, we're talking big rocks, big rocks flying up at the bash plate and that radiator guard, and it's all worked quite well. On this side, the engine was protected really well. I mean, even all these, like this, it's just talking absolute pounding. I feel, like I said, I feel bad, but it is what it is. Oh no, I lied, I still got the plug on this side, that's good. But again, if you're ever on the fence about any sort of crash protection, particularly these bars from CFMOTO, don't think twice. They're an absolute bargain. I think they're 120 bucks Australian. I mean, look at the carnage. Just look at it. That's not one fall. That is many falls. While we're away, I think we went through about 7 or 8 river crossings as well. Pretty deep, like knee deep. But looking at the crash bars from the top, I mean, I can't really see much of a variation side to side, which means that they've stayed relatively true. It's very unlikely that they've both bashed in and been bent in the same amount on each side. Bark busters, worth their weight in gold. Without these, one fall, and you're not going anywhere anymore. Slight kink on the end there, I have to straighten that up. This side copped it too, but you know, saved the levers more than probably a dozen times. Coming down further on this side, my cheapo AliExpress exhaust guard there to stop my boots from melting has copped it, but it's still functional, it's still doing its job. The old Van Diemen exhaust has taken an absolute pounding. Have a look at that. B&B stuff, I mean, that stuff's held real strong. That's not going anywhere. But when we come up to the AliExpress saddlebag racks, let's have a look how they look side to side. Yeah, one doesn't look the same as the other, does it? So it's taken a big hit on the side here. And this is just the limitation you have when you don't have any sort of bracing from side to side. I'm gonna try and bend those out, but as you can see, it's totally pancaked in. Like, I didn't even realize it at the time. I was wondering why one of my bags was sitting a bit low, but that explains it. Motoz tires, the Adventure Tractionators, they were awesome, but for where we were, they were out of their depth as well. Right error, not blaming anything other than myself. I was kind of surprised. I had some of my straps gone over for my Rhino bags. I'll show those in a sec, but they've totally worn away. I mean, 3 days of hard riding, the thing's constantly bouncing around and just vibrating to heck. So I'm not surprised it's worn through a bit of paint on both sides. I mean, it was never going to stay new, you know, and they just got to accept that. This is the purpose which they're built for. And one thing I think doesn't really get spoken about enough is just with CFMOTOs is, one thing I love about this bike, and it's something I can't say about any other motorcycle I've owned, and I've owned a lot of them and all kinds of different brands, so I'm not, you know, brand loyal. I just go with the bikes I like. One thing I love about CFMOTO, well, more than one thing, but particularly, is I'm not owning this bike and riding it and thinking about the next bloke. I'm not worrying about who I'm going to sell it to next. I'm not worried if I drop it and I scratch it or I ding it because it's going to affect the resale. Because to be honest, the resale on these bikes is not good. And it's not going to be good for probably a long time until their reputation grows. So you can buy this bike at a cheap price, you can use it, you can abuse it, you need parts, you get them straight from CFMOTO on their website, no dealing with dealerships or any BS like that, and you just keep on going. That's one thing I love about them. Now, where was I? Rant aside. Yeah, the Motoz tyres were great. All the chain, everything. And this fin, it all held up really well. Again, B&B stuff. I know I harp on it a bit, but I just, their stuff is built so well, I don't need to worry about it. And, you know, when you're out in the wilderness, remote, far from everything, there's enough to worry about, you know? You don't want to be worrying about things unnecessarily. One thing that's going to take a bit to fix is my side stand. So on the swing arm here, can you see there's a fair bit of wear? It's probably gone in about 2 mil, maybe 3 mil of wear. And that's the foot from the side stand. So it turns out, just coming down to the side stand, I thought I'd quickly include this. Turns out that the side stand isn't actually bent in at all. It was this little stopper here. So this bracket it sits on here was bent up to about here. So people have commented before that this isn't very sturdy, this bracket setup, and after seeing that, you can see the kink in it still. This is just really, really soft. Fortunately though, it's an easy enough fix. Just get yourself a Phillips head screwdriver, and it's got a little hole there between where those plates meet, and you can just lever that down and bend it back. So that just shows how sort of poor quality that steel is, unfortunately, because you can just bend it quite easily. So if you find that your stand's coming up and interfering with your swing arm, that's probably the culprit right there. Man, we did just shy of 1,000 Ks, and this thing just, the bike itself, like the accessories I've put on have taken hits and there's wear obviously, but the bike itself, I mean, like I said, it has no business being this good. It's just too good. I ride it, and every time I ride it, I say it to others, I say it to myself. I just love this thing. The more I ride it, the more I love it. Anyway, Rhino walk bags, again, cheap option from AliExpress, but these things have stood up to the test. again, I can't tell you how many times these were dragged. I mean, when you're dragging your bike over rocks, I mean, you're having a bad day. And I had more than a few bad moments on this trip. And these things have been awesome. I'll put down links to which bags these are, but just the amount of clips that are on them. Every now and then I had to stop and tighten up this top bag. It would move around a little bit, but you can sort of get around with that. It does have all like the locking tabs and whatever else. And with your slack, you can sort of time in a knot and that will stop them coming out altogether. But I did have to tighten them up a few times. I did notice the top zip, the waterproof zip. If there's too much in your bag and you try and close it, that zip does separate quite easily. So you just can't really stuff it too full with stuff. And then you've got these straps on top to cinch it down even more. So it works out all right. But yeah, these bags they exceeded my expectations. They looked pretty good, but yeah, I mean, I just can't really, without showing you footage, which unfortunately I don't have because I was just too busy in survival mode, but I can't explain to you the amount of abuse that these things have received. So that's it, guys. I only get to clean this old girl up, but again, just blown away by the bike and the accessories I put on. I think most of them stood up. The biggest damage being the side racks and that center stand, but I mean, 3 days of just abuse. I'm pretty happy. So just have to make her pretty again. All right, cheers guys. I'll see you in the next one. Ride safe.